Pierre, how are you? Now, I see all of the chat there, everyone's saying, wonder what the problem's going to be this week for poor old Dave. So far, everything's good. I've got a good solid green light on my CPU. I can see chat. I can see my sound monitor is tracking really, really well. My on-air light has decided to work today as well. Look at this. No lapel microphone. What do you think of that? Is the sound good? Can I get some comment to say hello? We see you. It'd be great. Anyway, I'm sure the stream is running because, well, there you go. I need some feedback. Let me know if we're here. Alrighty, what's in the show today? Good morning from India. Good morning, everyone. I've got a little sign saying that I'm on, so there we go. Yep, good sound. Now, what I did, I'll quickly broach that from last week. Or before I do that, I'll let people know what happens. If you're new to the show, what we do is a little bit of an intro, a quick chat. I will go through some viewers' projects. I'll have a bit of a look at the chat as well during the projects. And then this week we have a guest, John Lafferty, who's come up from Canberra with his girl. And we're going to talk about the bench tops for John Lowry that I've got in here. So please make me remember that, John, if I start to forget it. Also, we're going to talk about PKD, which is Polycystic Kidney Disease. Kidney disease. And this is a situation that John actually has. And so we're going to do a little bit of an awareness for it because it's something that John tells me 6,000 people in Australia have. It's a hereditary disease. And, you know, you get it. That's all there is to it. Viewers projects and wood shops. Just when you thought John couldn't print anything else, he's brought some more toys up and a giveaway, but not this week, the week after. This week, you can see down in the description box, the giveaway is a Veritas Micro Adjust marking gauge, and it is beautiful for Australia and New Zealand. The stuff, the kit that we're going to give away next week and the week after from John is international. So we'll bring all of the community back into the situation, back into the stable. Okay, Patreon, check out the rewards that I'm offering. The third week, a winner this week is for the Stanley Black & Decker level and also the DeBolt cap and shirt. And Michael Christopher's plural, has sent in some pictures of the gear that he picked up. So he's very happy about that too. Chat more. And I think that will be all. Also, animals in your shop and projects that you're doing, if you can throw them up, send them to me, davestantonfans@gmail.com. That'd be fantastic. All right, let me see. Where are we going to? I'm going to do a quick read down here. All is well. Sound is good. Yep, all good here. All well. Hi from UK. Aaron Gibb, good morning. Sound is great. Stephen Lee, hello from Ohio, USA. Bob Lewin, evening. Dave from New Jersey. Good morning from New York. Flary Art. Okay. Good morning. John Parra just got the second order of dogs. They're great. Michael Griffiths this morning, everyone. And Dave, hello from Sydney. Darren and Erland Steenberg, hello from Norway. We've got a few people watch from Norway. It's so good. I really enjoy having people from all around the world because the community can learn. We can all learn from each other as to what's happening in that country. We've got Lewi from Norway as well, who's an absolute fountain of knowledge and on how to do things as well. He researches very, very intensely. All right. I shall have a look down the side here and see what we've got. Now, the Stanley giveaway, as I was saying, these are the items that are given away. And thank you so much to Jeremy Carter from Stanley Black & Decker for supplying all of these. 3 weeks solid, he was giving away a level DeBolt cap and a DeBolt shirt, and that's been fantastic. And what have we got here? This is the gear that Michael Christopher's received. So he's over the moon about that, and he's already put the level to work. Here he is, clamped it onto the top of a cupboard unit that he's making, and so he's transferring a point onto the wall on the other side and checking that he's on the level. Does that sound corny? Probably, but it's my show, I don't care. Okay, where are we up to? Drink. Now you might wonder, sorry, I've got to walk off camera for a second to get my drink. you may wonder, I've got to wonder myself what I was talking about. Okay, I remember. It reminds me, of course, I'm being a bit of a flippity-gibbet here. It reminds me that last week we had a second live stream, and we worked out that the average age must have been around mid-50s. So we have people from all sorts of ages, and our oldest viewer at this stage is 73. So if anyone can pip that, just put a comment in there. So did John bring a blue shirt? No, but he brought Pavlovas that were blue, and all the dogs this week in the demonstration are going to be blue. One of the giveaways are all blue. The jacket that he wore is blue. I expected his car to be blue, but it wasn't there. Now, as I say, a little thing. See down here, right here, that's my rubber belt cleaning stick. And I have my lapel microphone mounted on that. So being rubber, I'm hoping that there's going to be no movement. It's going to be sound deadening as well. So you should get really good sound from that. And also when John drops in a little bit later on during the show, because he's my guest today, it should be able to pick up the pair of us quite well. So hopefully we'll keep the sound levels really smick. Okay, let's get into what we've got here. Viewers, projects, and I shall have a look at this one. First of all, we'll have a look at Chris Lance. Now Chris, let me see if I've got it here. I'll transfer over to there. And Chris lives in Australia and also overseas. I think, I couldn't tell you where it is. It'll tell me as we're going. Hi Dave, we're in Finland. That's right, Finland. Celebrated my 66th birthday with Linda and her two nieces and their respective partners at our place in the countryside. Weather has been great here and promises to continue to be so. We avoid winter in both hemispheres. How nice is that for your backyard in Finland? I'll be here until early September and then head back to Sydney. We'll have our granddaughter here for 3 weeks and then son Kerry and his wife for 4 days. Other than that, we'll be enjoying the peace and quiet here and doing some sailing. I've attached a few photos of the house and my workshop, which is very much a work in progress. Best to you and yours, from Chris. See, things like that I enjoy, because I would have seen Finland as being an area that would have been, rocks and ice, fjords, and, just very, very cold and inhospitable. But when you see pictures like that where you've got a nice open meadow, or in Australia we call it a paddock, where you've got all this grass and it's just all flowing and the nice trees in the background, it just gives you a heads up. And you think, well, it's just like here, except for it's probably a bit hotter here now and then. Okay, now during the chat as well, if this stream goes well, as, behaves itself, all of that chat will remain. So if you watch a recording, you can see all this chat pop up. You just click a little button and away it goes. So it's relative to what I'm talking about on the show. Now, the other thing is I'm hoping the synchronization between my voice and the image is going pretty well. It should be. I've tweaked it, and I have a look at some of the older shows, and I think, ooh, that wasn't too good. And the more recent ones, they're getting better. So I struggle through. I said to John this morning, it's not Hollywood. It's just me in a shed having a chat. That is a nice and green Tom Hart, 64 years old, from Pennsylvania. Well, Tom, you're not quite 73, are you? So, I wouldn't be bragging about being 64 yet. What's the next thing we got? Keith Cullen. Now, Keith is a character he's a bit of a lurker, hangs around the corner, and sends some things in to me every now and then. And he's also sent some things in. He said, Dave, here's some blades for a plane. You could give them away on your show or keep them if you wish. I checked them out and I said, you know what, Keith? I'm going to keep them. Now, is that bad of me? Probably not. Okay, here we go. I'm going to switch it over to Keith's sting. And Keith has been doing some stuff with timber and also in the garden. So Keith, he says, here are some photos. Well, get me past this one. Okay. Finished the serving tray this week. Sides are Mountain Ash, bottom handles MERBAU and Quila. A friend of mine paints and sketches cartoons. The artist box is for special pencils. The box sides and tray Mountain Ash, lid and trim, bottom silky oak. Then we're going to jump into the retaining wall in a second. Hopefully we'll jump through to that. Now here's the MERBAU, it's the Mountain Ash and the MERBAU serving tray. It's very hard. Look, it even comes with fruit. So it's very hard for me to read and also watch up there at the same time. Ray Palmer, you're 71. Okay, so treated pine logs are 30 years old and are rotted at the concrete footing. That's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So what he's done, he's built a new Gabion wall consisting of 32 gauges filled with 14 tonne of rock. The space between the old wall and the new wall is filled with 35mm blue metal. Each face rock was hand placed. Well, that's great, and of course I wasn't watching, and there you go. Oh, shock, I'm back. 10 past already, and I'm going to do something slightly different this week. Instead of waiting right till the end of the show to announce the winner of the Stanley level and the cap, the DeBolt cap, and so on, I'm going to read through the submissions. Now remember, this is random picked by a thing called Rafflecopter. I have no control over it. It says, here's the winner, and all I need to do is to make sure it was someone from Australia. So the winner is from Australia, and I'll tell you their name at the end. And I'll do what I did last week, and I'll read through it all, the comments, and then if you haven't heard your comment, you're in with a chance of winning. Now, obviously, if you put a ribald comment in or put no comment, you're not going to hear it because I will have canned it. Or, if there's no comment, well, let me see. 1 and 1 makes 2. You work it out. All right, here's the first comments. Where am I? It hasn't seemed to have done it quite well. All right, people have gone into the site and they've had a look at the different things that are available. Stanley Smart Measure Pro. Now that's this bad boy right here. Now Jeremy has sent one into me as well. Now this thing, I'll just tell you quickly about this. It locks onto your mobile phone. It looks very similar to those phone holders that you put in your car. I'll bring it up close to the camera so you can actually see it. So that thing there, as I say, and on the back, it has these clamps that locks onto your phone, and a Bluetooth connects, and you calibrate the thing. And what it does, you can hold it up with your phone and take a photo of a wall, or of a wall with windows and doors in it, and it will tell you the surface areas of everything there. It's just amazing. Too amazing for me to have actually done anything with it yet, but when I do get around to using it, I'll be sure to let you guys know what I think of it. I've had a play around with it, and I've tried to calibrate it, and it was inside at night, and I thought, right, I haven't really got time to do it properly to give it justice. I'll do it further down the track. But it's something that's in the wings, and I thought I'd mention it because the first person that made an entry into the competition spotted that as well. Now, it's not really a distance measurer. It is a calculator for surface area, and I'm sure it possibly could measure distance, but as I say, I need to get into it and find out a whole lot more about it. Ian McFadden, Dave, you just got in. Well, off to the corner. You're nearly 15 minutes late, Ian. Next one. Fat Max Auto Lock measuring tape. This person liked the reciprocating saw, all of them, but probably the planes the most. It's funny what people are wanting. You know, some people are after the high-tech stuff. Other people are after the hand tools. The Fat Max 5-piece through tang chisel set 612, 18, 25 and 32. Stanley's digital measure. The woodworking tools, all of them. The number 5 jack plane is a great temptation for me as I'm just looking to add some hand tools to my collection. I'm after a number 5 jack. I don't know whether I'm going to go a Stanley or a Veritas. You know, or there's other ones around as well. Wood River. You know, they're all really nice. It's just, I don't know. I didn't even. You know, I've got a Stanley 4.5, and I've had that for a long time, and it's never let me down. So I don't know why I shouldn't. So there you go. Wood chisels. The only thing stopping me from making perfect hand-cut dovetails, Stanley floor plan nap. I haven't seen that one. Fat Max Pro Organizer metal latch winter seal or water seal shallow. I need to organize my screws and nuts, all tools, because I'm a tool junkie. As a novice woodworker, I'll never need a plane in the very near future. I'll need. So sometimes when it comes through as an Excel sheet, and I could convert it to Word. And sometimes it throws in all of these little commas and exclamation marks and question marks, and it tricks me up. I hadn't edited that one up at all. So I'll need I'll need a plane in the very near future. The standing range looks great. SLP5, Fatmax 5 beam, self-leveling with plumb and horizontal. I need a new tape as the Empire one have is terrible. Can't go wrong with Stanley. Oh dear. Any and all, wife says I need a new level as she says my projects are not straight. The chisels and clamps, Bluetooth AM FM radio as I need tunes in my workshop. Now, I didn't realise Stanley made a Bluetooth AM FM radio. As a starting woodworking enthusiast, I think everything on the Stanley site tempts me, but as for the most, you can't go past the classic Stanley hand planes and some chisels. Hand planes, I don't have any yet. My level is so bad, I use it for a French curve. Oh dear, that's a bad level. Did you run over it or what? Or is it just come out of the shop that way? Why didn't you take it back? Anyway. Okay, so the winner, and as I say, I'm doing the winner right at the beginning. So there you go. But please hang around for the rest of the show, because what we're going to do, yes, Stuart, you do need a bigger corner to go into. So, no talking in the corner either. The winner this week, with the comment, a 4-piece combo kit. That's a boring comment, but it won. Is Arthur Crosby. Now, Arthur, I'll get in touch with Jeremy and we'll get that sorted out. Now, I need you also, pardon me, I also need you to send me an email, davestantonfans.com, with your name, address, and a contact number so that we can post it all out, as well as your shirt size. That'd be great. All right, so that's been a bit of fun. I'm going to have a quick read. Okay, so Stuart West, Bunnings home base, I should say, in the UK, has sadly just been sold for £1. They got it badly wrong, unfortunately. You're kidding me. £1. Okay, John Luke, where's Barry? Star of the show. Of course he is. No, well, Barry is tired. He's still asleep. I wake him up to come down to the show, so I'm giving him the week off. Morning all. Yeah, I know, in the corner. Okay, corner all. FIFO. Now, Carl, can you expand on what FIFO stands for? I can come up with some suggestions, but I better shut up. Let me see. Look, there's more on the back, tempting as follows, and it's just massive lists of all the things that they wanted from the Stanley range. Now, my worktop surfaces. All of my surfaces in this room are laminate. So basically this is the same as you'd have in a kitchen. What I did was, I wasn't aware that you could get tops substantially large. I thought you'd be limited to something around about 900 millimeters wide, which in the old speak is 3 feet wide. Now with these tops, I like them to have a rounded edge on purpose, and I don't have the capacity to do that. If it was just straight tops and I was to trim the edges and glue on some edge around the edge, like with some contact of the laminate as well, or even put some timber on, that would have been, nice. But I wanted something that was going to be super easy to clean and, look bright and not be a problem for when I'm using glues, because I didn't want to pull out brown paper over an assembly table in particular. So I started off with this one here, this down the docking station, to see if I liked it. Then I wrapped around the back of the table, saw into the side, and I got that all done as well. And then I had some tops made for roll-around cabinets, and I got a substantial amount of those, and I used them on the top of the units that I would use for roll-around cabinets, and also on my multi-purpose bench that I've got the Craig Foreman in, that will also take my DeBolt trimmer and also take my Craig bench clamp as well. And that's bloody useful, I've got to tell you now. Anyway, and you can't see it because it's down there, and I'm not pointing the camera down there, I'm here. So what happens is, I got in touch with a company in Australia called Laminex Industries. Now, Laminex Industries has a whole lot of joinery shop contractors that work for them. So you fill in all the details on their form, off it goes to the contractor, and they'll sometimes come back and say, Dave, we can't do it. So I say, well, look, I think you can do it because you've done it for me before. And they'll go off and see another contractor or two come back and say, yeah, everything's good, we can do it now. So when they say they can't do it, what has happened on this one is there are all 4 edges have been roll formed. So it's an 8mm round over top and also on the bottom. Now 8mm is going to be, what, 5/16 in the old language. I call Imperial the old language because we used to have it in Australia, but we woke up to ourselves. And each corner has got a 45-degree chamfer, well, a cut-off, because I'm fond of my hips. And going around corners too fast sometimes, you can catch yourself and it, you bump off. These are all safe, especially when the grandchildren come in to visit. There's nothing really in here that's going to hurt them. The only thing that's a problem is the end of my jointer. So if I've got grandchildren here, I put something over it like a hat at the end there so they can see it and they bump off it. So John, that's John Lowry I'm talking to. That's what I've done. Would I do it again? I think so. The reason being, I still have the full-on workbench down the end, which is Arthur's bench, which is a very, very solid thing if I want to thump and pound on something. This area here is totally an assembly table. I used to have this area as a dog hold, 8 foot by 4 feet, Polk style bench. And the problem with that was, if I sat down to it to try and draw a plan of something or write a note, my pen would be, I'll grab this other pen, my pen would drop down into the dog holes, and it became a pain. So that's why I went with no dog holes at all. I was thinking about dog holes in this, but I decided against it. One of the other reasons I built the Stanton bench was it's a portable dog hole situation when I want it. So it will live down there, or when I'm doing stuff that requires dog holes, it comes up here. I'm also going to make a couple more varieties of this thing. After you've used it for a while, it's really, really nice. I love it. But I like to tweak things. I'm never happy with things just as they are, because let's be honest, there's so many people out there on the web that do things, and you look at what they're doing and you take that idea on board and you expand it for your own need. So that's just me. That's what I do. Let me see if I've got everything happening here. We've done about my worktops, viewers projects in the wood shop. Done Patreon, I've spoken about that. The giveaways, I've spoken about that. So the next thing I want to do is I want to bring John in, and he's sitting here in the wings. We don't have a green room, we've got a blue room. So I'm going to move my stool over here. So John's going to bring his stool into the shot, and I'm going to move this back here so we can see everything happening. And here's John. I'm going to welcome John in. John, thanks for coming into the show.
Thanks for having me.
And you can see John's driven up from Canberra yesterday, and he and his wife and my wife and I went out for dinner last night, had a bit of a chat and enjoyed each other's company. And then John said, look, I've got some things I want to show, and I want to talk about PKD. So I'll get a balloon. John blew up some balloons, and I'll let John have a chat about PKD. Over to you.
Thanks. So, PKD, Polycystic Kidney Disease, hereditary disease. So I knew my grandmother had it. She was on dialysis for 18 years. Mum found out at the same time she had it, and I was diagnosed about 5 years ago that I had it. You have a 50-50 chance, no matter how many parents, no matter whether it's one or both of your parents have a history of PKD, you have a 50-50 chance of getting it. And basically it slows down your kidneys by filling them full of cysts. So we've got our little props here. That's about the size of a normal kidney.
I'll stand up, John, so you can put it near me.
Yeah,
so kidneys
are
here?
In about there.
Yep.
That's about normal size of kidney. Usually about 100 to 150 grams in an average size person.
And a kidney is basically a filter to get rid of everything out of your bloodstream that shouldn't be there.
Correct. A kidney works in conjunction with your liver to clean out the blood and keep all the toxins out, etc.
Okay.
Show
me the bad one.
What happens with polycystic is you fill up with cysts, and that's about the size of my kidney now.
I'll turn around.
So about 2 kilos worth. I've only got one kidney left. I've already taken one out through it's called a nephrectomy. And nephrectomy is on my right hand side here. There's no gallbladder. There's no kidney. There's no appendix. So carrying that around, I've got a deep appreciation for pregnancy now.
It's the size of a head.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It is. It takes up. I have heard up to 20 pounds per kidney is about the biggest I've heard of.
Now, John, people obviously can look up PKD on the internet, and they
Yes.
can get more detailed information if they want. And as I said at the beginning of the show, 6,000 occurrences in Australia. Now, Australia's got a population of, let's say, roughly 20 million. The United States, I think, has got about 360 million people. So you work out the figures there. I don't know, is it proportional all around the world or not?
Yeah, it's proportional. It is.
It doesn't care about
it is
race?
No race, no living conditions,
Yep.
nothing like that seems to affect it. Once you've got it, there's if it's in your genes, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change your diet. You can't live a better lifestyle to speed it up or slow it down, apart from anything that would normally damage your kidney. Become an alcoholic. Yeah.
What age did you realise that you had it, John?
I should have realised earlier. With the family history of it, my blood pressure was high. So I should have realised earlier to get checked earlier. But I actually only had, and they do a simple ultrasound. I was getting high blood pressure, migraines, and gout was actually one of the biggest signs.
And what age was this really starting to show?
Mid-30s.
Mid-30s.
Yes.
Okay, so
about 10 years ago.
Up to your 30s, you were heavily involved in sport. You were a keen cyclist.
Keen cyclist.
And what kind of events did you compete in, John?
I do long distance road, so
Right.
Anything from 40k for the 40k time trial up to 320k in a day.
320 k's, which is a lot more distance than across the whole country in some areas in the world.
Yeah, Sydney to Canberra.
Sydney to Canberra. Well, I'll tell you what, I get tired just driving there. If you could have ridden that, and now this has brought you down to a situation this morning. I just fill you in on this little thing that happened this morning. John came from downstairs, came upstairs into the office, and last night we were talking about, if things move along for him, that maybe he'd make his shed a little bit bigger, because, why not? And one of the suggestions was, well, I'll put a second story on it. And he's, after this morning, he said, no, there's no second story going on. I can't do it. So we take this for granted.
Yeah, it does just drag you down. It just makes you tired. I will sleep 16 hours a day, no problem at all. Which just leaves you, and the rest of the time you wake up and you're still just tired. It does drag you down like that. There's basically 5 stages of kidney failure. It starts at 1, which is you've basically been diagnosed, you don't feel it. You start to feel it about it goes stage 1, 2, 3A, 3B, 4 and 5. I don't know why they split 3. You start to feel it in the 3s. You start to feel tired, run down. Things like high blood pressure and gout start to show up.
What stage are you at now?
I'm at 5.
At 5. So you're at the peak.
I'm at the start of 5. I'm in, and it's a very it's a disturbing name. They call it end stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's a question up there, John, from Zanes. Can you get a transplant, or would it also have been impacted? So that's something I hadn't considered. If you were to given a brand new kidney, would it be prone to copying PKD?
No. That's
okay.
It is,
so it's in the kidney itself.
If you're going to have an organ fail, kidney's probably one of the best, because there's a lot they can do for it. At the moment, there's dialysis and transplant.
Yes.
And transplant comes in 2 forms: is either from somebody on the donor list, which of course I'm open to support. I'm actually on the donor list myself. The other organs are okay. It only affects the kidney.
That'd stuff someone up if they came in. Here's your new kidney,
Here's your
buddy.
new kidney, yeah.
Whoa, I know.
It doesn't work too well. It's the rust bucket car, but it will get you there.
It's a lemon.
So where were we?
So you're talking about the options that you've got.
The options.
And so you're in the process now of getting ready for having dialysis.
So dialysis it's been around since 1954, I think, was the first dialysis unit. They've been doing it a long time. So dialysis will be 3 days a week. I have to go to dialysis anyway. My kidneys are filling up with cysts so fast I won't be able to get processed in time for a transplant. Okay. So I have to prepare for dialysis. That involves having a vein and an artery put together in my arm that I then have to wait 3 to 6 months before they can actually start.
Right.
to use it.
When you were telling me about this last night, I had this image of Neo in the Matrix, with those
the
things
plug in the back of the
down
neck.
the back of his neck, and just plug him in. But
That'd be
it's
easier,
not.
actually.
It would be. So this area on your arm,
Yeah.
and it's your right arm, and you were telling me also you're going to have identification that we'll be carrying with you, and also your right arm cannot be used for anything else.
Yeah, you can't even have your blood pressure taken. You can't have blood taken from it. I can't put any compression on the arm at all.
Okay. Will you still be able to carry the same kind of things around? Or?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually.
At the start off, you've got to be very delicate. They've cut open an artery to...
So I'm guessing they're saying, all right, nothing that's going to restrict the blood flow.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Or anywhere on the arm, because it also reduces a bit of blood flow in the bottom of your arm.
Are you going to get a tattoo anywhere saying, hands off?
Not really. I did think about that, but fistula is a funny thing. They can actually move it. Mum has one in the same position up high. Usually they start them down low, but I've said I work in the workshop, and as a few people saw the other day, I put a knife through my thumb. It's healed really well. But because of that, I've asked for it to come up higher, so this front of my arm is less likely to get damaged.
Right.
Once that's but if something goes wrong with the arterial system in the rest of the top of your arm and into your chest, they can actually take that fistula and put it into the other arm or into your leg.
So why the advantage of the right arm?
I'm left-handed for writing.
Okay.
I'm mainly ambidextrous, but I'm left-handed for writing, so right arm.
So the one that's going to get the least amount of use.
They do an ultrasound on your arm, on both arms, to examine the arteries, the veins in the arteries, and I got an all clear on both arms, so I could pick.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about with PKD, John, or should we move on to a little bit?
That's pretty much it.
The reason, bit of a happy thing.
The reason we're using the balloons and the reason there's little black circles is you really don't want to see one of these in real life unless you're morbidly interested. They are one of the most revolting things you can ever imagine. They're not pretty. When they took the kidney out of me, it took 10 days to do the pathology on it. Yeah. Google it if you're interested, but that just gives you a good enough
example. As I was saying, we take good health for granted so much.
Yep.
All right, what are we going to do, John? So I'm going to swing the camera around over here, guys. Yep. And I've been reading a few of the comments down there. And I'm sorry, guys, if you feel this is kind of off topic. But one of the things is I like to have information, as I say on my channel. This is about what's happening in my workshop and day-to-day stuff with me. And when John told me about the condition he had, I thought, well, I was never aware of this kind of stuff. Here I'm cruising through life, blissfully ignorant about things. and to actually know someone that's got a condition, it really helps me understand. And tell you what, it makes me feel so much better about my life. Getting up in the morning is a piece of cake now. After watching John struggle around, I thought, well... count your blessings.
It is one of those things too. It's a lot worse with the I think I don't know if we answered with the transplant. It won't transfer to the transplanted kidney. The last bit is there is a promise, very promising. They're entering human trials this year. We hope for a bionic kidney, about the size of a matchbox, and it will. It's powered by the artery. So it's not even.
So you're going to get some packing put in around there after you get that put in, John? So to make up for the space?
No, they actually take rid of the kidney, and I'll lose a whole lot of gut.
Right, well, that's what I mean. You're going to get this whole
big
concave area.
Yeah, that's I'm a bit unbalanced at the moment, but and in the body.
You could print up a prosthesis.
So
all right.
Anyway, there we go.
Okay,
that's
what we're going to do now is we're going to swing around over here, guys. Thanks, Andrew. It is a good message for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to swing this around here, and we're going to be bored silly with all of John's new stuff.
More bench dogs.
More bench dogs. And I think we can swing that around about there. Turn that up ever so slightly.
Just over the side here. Yep.
About there. So it's got you there, John. I'll bring the sound around here as well. I don't know how the sound's going to work. We'll see. All right. Now you can see John was curious and really didn't know which colour bench dog to bring up, so he brought some blue ones.
Yeah, just blue for a change for Dave.
Blue for a change. Now, the things that he's brought up are a little bit interesting. There's a few others that are in the wings that we're not going to show you because he hasn't finished developing them yet. And you'd think, well, a bench dog is a bench dog. And yes, it is, but he's getting requests from people for different things. Now, this is a fat dog. Now, it's going to be the same diameter, 25 millimeters, right the way up. You can see it in comparison. I'll bring it over a bit closer. That's a stubby or a medium-sized ordinary dog, and that's the fat dog.
Just up a bit, though.
Up a bit?
That's it.
Has that got him?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, medium-sized dog, standard style. Fat dog, tall. Now these things, again, the thread is 3D printed into it. I don't know if it's got the focus there, John, or not?
Yep, that's got the focus.
So the advantage of these is I can have those there, or I can even have this. This is a medium-sized fat dog. Now I could put that there and lock it on. I haven't got my glasses on me today, which is... Yep. Now, the other thing is, if something's going to go wrong, of course it will.
Always will. I just, while Dove's stuff mucking around there, we're saying, Jane just said pink dog, so there you go.
There we go. Once they've come off the printer, this one I haven't cleaned out. So once they've come off the printer, John was saying, you just need to run the 5/16 or the 8mm bolt. These are 8mm through first. And there we go. It's going on beautifully. Now these need to be held down because of the tolerances. So if it was, there we go. That isn't going anywhere at all. Now I've got another fat dog at the back here, and I can use either an ordinary dog or a fat dog because they're the same diameter there. And have a look at what I'm meaning. So I can put a piece of timber up against those. It's not going anywhere. And then at the back here, it's not going to affect the track saw. But if I was thinking that it's going to affect the track saw, I can put a short one. Now, what do I mean by affecting the track saw? I'll show you. I'll make it purposely affect it. So there we are. I'll put the specs on. There's my track saw, and you can see I'm hitting just here. So when I bring it, turn it around there, when I bring it down here for a cut, I'm not going to hit it at all. I'm up above it. So John's worked out the height. So this is an optimum height for things up to what around about, John? 25, 30 millimeters thick?
Yeah, it's 35 mil high.
So this section here can be 35 mil and still, or as you're saying from there to there is 35?
From the base to the top of the dog is 35.
Okay, so if you're using something, you're cutting something around 30 millimeters thick, it's going to work perfectly. So I shall put that to the test. John, if you want to find some muffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually.
Just over there. Look where I'm pointing. Look where I'm pointing. So put the muffs on and let's see how we go. No problem at all. See that? It's travelling right over the top of the dog. It's not touching it at all. And the cut, as always, is really, really nice. Now, I was pointing out to John, that's great, but if you're using these little clamps, wherever there they are, these little guys from UJK, you probably still want to go with something conventional, which is what this is. This will lock onto it, and if we swing that around there, like so, it's not a problem, it'll hold it easily. But these ones, they're going to be too big. So these were a special order that John had, and if you're not going to be using these are great, because they're the same thickness right the way up. You haven't got to worry about mucking around with anything at all. If I was to put on at the front here, got a couple there, John? Tall one there, that's fine. And while I'm putting them together, you might think, oh, this is a lot of stuffing around. Well, you only put them on, you know, at the beginning of the job. Get it locked in there.
And the steel dogs can be just as tricky to line up when you're underneath
Correct.
the bench. So.
And John was also saying, you know, steel dogs and aluminium dogs are going to, you know, they're a product that's going to, you know, they're going to last longer, obviously.
Yep.
But these plastic dogs, for a lot of people, they're probably just going to be all you need. Let me see. I'll slide that down there. And put that one, which is another one of the mediums, here. And I'll show you what I mean with the rail clips from UJK, which are I really like the rail clips. So I've got another fat one there, or I can take that out and put one of the standard tall ones in, or I can take it out and put one of these new fancy things that John's made, that we'll show you in a second, as well. I'll put the rail clips on. And again, the way you put those on is either side, and then you just roll it over. I'll move that along so it's actually a cut. How easy is that? Glasses.
Ear protection.
All good? And there you go.
So the only other bit that's new on these ones too is they're now all one piece. They used to have a piece of metal thread in the centre.
So it's one print right the way through.
It's one print all the way through now. So one solid, no
and you
twist
find
off
that
no break.
that stops any irregularity in the shaft at all. So
Yeah.
it's perfectly in line.
Yeah.
Again, for people that have already got them, it's it's going to be fine. But onwards and upwards. Why not? Otherwise, we'd all be getting around on horses.
Oh, it's simpler for me to make as well. I don't need to then go and screw it together, glue it,
Yep.
and sort of print it, pack it up, sell it.
All right. Now, take those off there. I'll show you the other things that he's made. And they are these guys. So there's a couple of these dogs, and I'll bring the pair of them up. Am I on them?
Yep, that's
John?
it. Perfect.
Okay.
Down a little bit.
Down a little
That's
bit. Okay. So what he's done is he's reinforced the ends with a metal thread that goes down the inside. See just here? Because you can imagine there's a whole lot of leverage on this little top part of the plastic. Also, it's got these sliding bases and a screw thread as well on this one. And I'll show you what they all do. That one I'll put out to the side. So I'll bring it up closer. On the track, you can slide these in here. Now, when you first get them, it's a tight fit. See?
Very snug.
That's very, very, very snug. It's not going anywhere. And then this is a lock nut. That's how cool is that? And then you throw that wherever you need to, and that lock nut is also the spacer, which is 25 millimeters diameter. So if I have that there, and then this, like so, I push up to it. It's done it.
I just realised if you have a standard dog
Yeah.
underneath there, that's at 25 mil as well. Same height.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right.
But it depends on the
But it
thickness
depends
of
on the thickness of the
wool.
material.
Yep.
So, John's getting ahead of himself there. Now this one is the same thing, but it doesn't have the clamping capacity that one's got. This will slide down and still give you, if you're pushing up against the end. I'll show you exactly what I mean on that. So slide that off, and then bring this one on, And again, nice tight fit. And you've got an F written on these, printed in, John. What's that all about?
The F is for Festal.
Right.
I've got them measured up for Makita as well now.
Okay.
They're slightly different, but that slight difference makes
So the F
doesn't fit.
F for Festal. All right. Now that ring slides to wherever you want, and that's 25 mil diameter. So then we pop that in there, let the ring drop to the bottom, which it has, and then I just push it up like so. That's cluey. That's really cluey. All right. Now when you take it up, it's going to stay there. So you got any thoughts on that, John? Whether maybe you should have a little flange at the bottom that's a retainer. It's going to be hard because it's going to get in the way as you drop in there.
It wouldn't pop in.
We're just going to have to make.
Hence, I actually prefer the threaded one for that.
Yep.
You can run with the threaded one, of course. Take this one off.
Yep.
It's a long thread. Go back to that one. Of course, you can run two threaded ones on the same one.
Two nuts on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you could have one that locks in and one that sets a height.
Right. Now with the height, tell me the advantage of setting the height, because I don't think there's a heap of advantage unless you want to put the bench cookie style little Smurf hats on the thing to act as a painter's pyramid.
Only if you were doing quite a few cuts, then you could set the height. You'd just be you could just slide the wood in and out. You could set it to just above the height of the wood.
Right.
You could slide pieces of wood in and out without having to lift the whole track up.
So I see the point on that, but the downside of that to me is that the splinter guard isn't going to make a nice tight contact with the timber underneath.
Correct. Or you make that just a little bit less. A little bit less. So it's just not dropping down, but it means it's in position and.
Okay, so I think I've answered the question myself. So if I had this at the back of the track, not the front, and slightly less, then it's going to support the track from dropping down. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you've got the track there, look, it's dropped.
Yep.
So if I had the sloppy, this one here, that just has the sliding ring at the front, and the one at the back, or even if we had two of those, John.
Yeah, two. Well, I haven't brought enough collars.
Yeah, so if you had the collars on that, top and bottom, or just relying totally on the new system you got at the top there with that bolt.
Yeah.
And then you could slide that down to whatever height you wanted, and then do that also. I'll do that. We have enough time.
Yep. We'll throw that one on. While
You pop that one on there. I'll put this on here. Thank you.
Been the minion for the day.
Okay. Again.
Sitting at the side there, I was so tempted to start doing the Waldorf and Statler routine and start heckling.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be the last time you ever turned up here. Oh dear. So then I can set this to be, this is 19 mil I think. So I could have a look at the side there, set it so it's just above, and that one as well. Just above. Put in, line up the holes.
There's a question there on other tracks. I've got Makitas at the moment. I'll do them from any tracks if somebody like to see has another track and wants to send me the dimensions of
Look at that, John.
of the feed.
I had no idea until we just started doing that. Now that might sound, geez, Dave's doing a sales pitch.
He's doing a
Dave
setup.
is not doing a sales
No.
pitch. Please don't take this the wrong way. All we are doing is showing you the stuff that John is doing. We had a chat about his kidney disorder. I'm talking about this stuff because this is what he's doing as a home enterprise at home, but this is the only thing that you can really do. His engineering and CAD capacity is brilliant, and he's just coming up with these ideas. And because I designed this bench, these are working in so much harmony with what I'm doing as well. Now, please don't be obliged to think that you need to buy anything. This is not what this is about. No. If you want to get something from John, but go for it. You know, I don't have anything to do with that. John is here showing me the stuff that he's got because of my bench, and also because he thought that maybe you guys would be interested in it. But looking at that just then, I really wasn't sold. No, I should have said sold. I wasn't sold on the idea. I wasn't convinced on the idea that they were of any use. But now just looking at that, that is bloody brilliant. That is not dropping down at the back. And as I say, if you're using a track saw, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to check out here. Stanton handy, Dave. You're going to have to build more cupboards for all your dogs. I opened up the drawer yesterday when John and Julia came and I said, "You seen all these bloody things down here? They keep on multiplying. They're having a great time in that drawer."
Sure,
But
we'll get to that organising dogs too.
that is a great idea. That's fantastic, John. And easy enough, kind of easy enough to take out. But look at that, so easy. They lock in position when you tighten them up. Well, actually, they don't. They stay there. They will move, but they are nice and tight, nice firm fit to start. Now, if you wanted to, I guess you could put a little bit of wax on them, just if you wanted to make them really slippery. But I reckon I'd leave them like that. They're pretty cool.
And you could do the 2-collar thing as well. You could put one in to lock it on and put a second collar on.
How confident are you on your strength test?
Fairly confident.
Okay.
Yeah, depends how.
I'm not giving it everything I've got.
No,
but
you give it real world sort of.
I reckon that's about the amount of force that I would give it pulling it in and out of the track. Yeah. My concern would be that I would bend the track as well if I was to give it too much force.
It's a 40mm bolt.
It comes down the shank here, 40mm into there. Well, that's a lot of grunt. Okay, now what's the next thing you wanted to show me? Oh, right. How about we talk about these guys next?
The jig dogs.
Jig dogs.
Jig dogs.
Okay. Now John does a lot of CNC cutting of foam. And we'll show you some foam in a minute that he does. Now these things here are designed, and he's going to change the design slightly. I'll show you one close up. See these things? They've got a couple of holes here and a dog and a metal bolt down the inside. Can we see everything there, John?
Yep.
Okay. John's thinking about putting maybe a single hole in here. Now these things are designed, we've also got an 8mm thread in the bottom. These things are designed to go into a top to a to a spoil board on a CNC machine. If you have a spoil board that's got some dog holes in it to hold things. And I'll do it from this side. Pop that there. Pop another one there. I'll move that out. And then I could put, let's just say this is my spoil board. I could put that there. And one more. There. A screw, a screw, a screw, a screw. In here is the foam. And that is going to hold the foam steady while John is doing things with the CNC. Also, it's a locating point. So then John can, if he wants to, he can turn the foam upside down in the same position and still have the machine run without having to change any of the coordinates. Is that right?
That's right. The other one I'm doing at the moment is a batch of 50 of the same job. So I just put the piece of foam in, say go. Yeah. And as soon as it's finished, put another piece of foam in, say go. It knows exactly where it's going to be every time.
There's other systems, of course. You can use hold down clamps. Now, if you've got a CNC machine that's got a bed of T-track, and you use hold down clamps to hold stuff down, of course you can use that system and you can go for it. But this is basically designed for people that have got a spoil board that's, and you wouldn't really want to have a spoil board of aluminium, would you? You'd want to have something on top of that aluminium.
Yeah, most people, even if they have, we were talking about the T-track aluminium block, tend to end up putting a piece of MDF under whatever they're going to cut anyway. Right. You don't want your tool bit going into aluminium, so they'll put a spoil board on.
Now I'm talking about CNC a little bit more because a lot of you people would be aware that I'm getting a machine soon, and John's already got it. So he's, we seem to be going down the same track big time. Big time. I don't know how the friendship started, but I'll tell you what, it's you will find people that have got exactly the same kind of interest. Like I know people that restore hand tools, and I know that Hilton Bonds just bought a couple of old Stanleys and a record, and he's been fixing up. Paul Mumford has also just recently done a number 7 Stanley jointer, and I know that Hilton and Paul are going to get on like a house on fire on my Facebook page. And it's the same kind of thing, but John and I are talking about this, but we're trying to include everyone. Well, when I say we, Vicky and myself with the channel, we're trying to make sure that everyone is covered, and I just have such a broad interest in things woodworking. So whether it's a machine that's doing it for me, or whether it's a router. Now, let me take that back one step. The step to a CNC is just another machine. It's like if I was to be a woodworker with hand tools all over the place and then bought a router. Oh, sacrilege. what's wrong with the chisel? Well, nothing's wrong with a chisel and a nice tenon saw, but routers will do things as well. And everyone's, just about everyone's got a router. It's one of the most common tools in a workshop. CNCs, I think, are also going to go that way. This is one of the reasons why I'm really, really keen on learning it, because, I don't want, I've gone past 60 and I don't want to start this downhill of, I'm too old to learn anything new. I like learning things new. Yeah. Use it or lose it is the story that I'm told.
And then that's part of why that's what got me into doing this yellow box shed and doing all of the dogs is I got retired from the public service, fortunate enough to get a pension that I can continue to live on quite happily. But you got to keep your brain active.
Definitely.
And this is definitely doing that.
John, what's the next thing we've got, buddy? We've done those. We've got the handle for the gripper.
The handle for the gripper, yeah.
Now, a while back I did a video on how to assemble this thing, and the grippers are fantastic. The base on those are so much better than my standard push blocks. I don't know what they've got in here. This is some special formula that only the Colonel Sanders knows about. But they hold on so well. Now, John felt that the handle was down a little bit low. He felt really uncomfortable and he felt he was falling off the front of it. So he 3D printed this one. Now, his hands are a fair bit bigger than mine. So when I held onto it, I thought, it's the handle is possibly a little bit skinny and I'm still up a little bit high. So what he's going to do, he's going to take it back into his program and he's going to lower the height ever so slightly and make it a little bit broader in this area here. It's got a recess for a thumb. I'll bring it up closer so you can see it. Are we focusing on it, John?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So there is I'll go on this side. So there's the thumb grip.
Up a little bit.
Up a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. And you can see my hands are coming right the way around and my fingertips are touching the pad on my thumb there.
Yeah, up a bit more.
Up a bit more. So the fingers are touching the pad on my thumb. So I said, maybe if it's a bit broader, I'm down a little bit, and I'd have that bit more control. But I'll tell you what, it does feel a whole lot more comfortable than the original. And as soon as you mentioned it, I found the same. It does. My hand comes around and comes into it as well. So yeah. But and for people that like it that way, you can undo it and spin it around the other way.
Unfortunately, you lose the universal, but it's quick enough. I've left the holes wide open, so it's quick enough to.
Well, that would be why the Micro-Jig have gone with the handle the way that they've done. Okay, John, what else have we got? Oh, we got this set. This is the.
This is talk about we'll talk about the foam cutting first.
Talk about foam cutting.
Yep.
You want to bring these guys over?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is done on the CNC, and this is a sort of so it's not CNC's not always wood. You can do metal, of course, is a famous one, but this is what I've been doing with foam cutting. So basically, I've already got the models of these in CAD. I can drop them into the piece of foam, into a virtual block, subtract it, add some finger grips, and CNC out at a lot faster speed than you can do wood. But this is what will be. This is okay. So this is continuing that. This is made for a Festool kit. It's the Festool Mini. And yeah, we can do the large one as well.
I'll take it up close so everyone can see it.
So
is that the right position?
That's it. Okay. Perfect.
This foam is really, really nice. John did a print with some other foam earlier in the piece. My microphone picking up, and it was more like the a much more open cell foam, and I wasn't really impressed with it because there was a lot of tear up. But this is so neat and much better density.
That's the older foam.
Yeah, so not as nice. This one came up really, really well. So he rocks up. As I said, he just rocks up with all these toys yesterday, and I said, man, look at all this stuff. Oh, there's another one. I'll bring it down. You can have a squeeze at that. So that's in the lower case. So anything he owns now. Yeah, John, are you going to put your dialysis machine in one of these things? Or
no, it's a bit bigger than that. It's about the size of a small photocopier. So yeah.
Right, and obviously, I wasn't aware. John has to have this done 3 times a week. How long is the process?
4 hours. You're on the machine for 4 hours.
4 hours, 3 times a week. Yeah. So what you were saying? Your mum does it Saturday morning.
Mum goes in Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings.
4 hours.
4 hours. So you're in there for about 5 hours by the time you get connected up.
Do they give you a biscuit or a glass
They
of
do
orange
actually.
juice?
They bring you around sandwiches and drink.
Wine?
During it. No, not wine. Although there have been a few that have been known to go. It's dialysis tomorrow, so I can go out heavy drinking tonight because it does cure a hangover. It cleans your blood.
Is there anything that you're not able to consume when you're on this?
Basically,
system?
at the moment, I'm meant to be, and I say meant to be, lower on protein.
Right.
I'm meant to eat less protein.
So eggs and things like that, not so many?
Meat is the main one they worry about. Just a bit less. It's just everything in moderation. So meat is the one you have a bit less of before dialysis. Once you're on dialysis, you're actually meant to eat more meat.
Right.
Because it strips so much out of your blood.
Okay.
You've got to compensate for that. Apart from that, it's just a balanced diet is all you
do you have to go into iron pills or anything like that? Are there any supplements?
Iron is, no, usually not supplements, but iron is, it's funny you mention iron as the one supplement. They will keep track of your blood balances, and every now and then you need an iron infusion, which is an injection. The tablets won't. You couldn't eat enough tablets. You have to chew on
Someone
a nail.
stick a sword in it.
Yes. Use your iron infusion.
Got that.
No.
Yeah, fix the problem straight away.
And they just add it into the dialysis process. They just add
Right.
a drip bag into the dialysis. As your blood comes back in, it gets added to it.
Now, it's also mentioned if John was alive 100 years ago, he would not be alive now.
Well, yeah, and on that, my grandmother, who was one of 14, she was the second youngest in that group. All of her elder brothers and sisters died of strokes and heart attacks, except high blood pressure related disease conditions,
Yeah.
which was probably brought on by polycystic kidneys.
By
they
the
probably
condition.
had it.
They probably did.
Yeah, but it wasn't diagnosed. It only gets diagnosed by ultrasound, etc. So.
All right, now, here we go. We're just about to wind the show up. So what we're going to do is, this week you'll notice that we've got the giveaway is for a Veritas Micro Adjust marking gauge. And I have been playing around with one at work because I never used one. I've got a standard marking gauge, and it's a little wooden thing with a plastic clamp on the side and a pin. And away you go. Now, the Veritas Micro Adjust is beautiful. The end is a metal disc, a very, very sharp disc, and they're replaceable. They're screwed into the end of the shaft. You lock the you lock the body of the sliding fence in position, and then you can micro adjust that fence once it's been locked in position. And it's a great idea. Anyway, so Carbatech, keep on touching my head. Carbatech have been very generous and said, Dave, we'll give it a shot. I've put a link down in the description box for Carbatech's website as a way of saying thank you. Check out their gear if you want to. And as I say, this week it's being given away to a lucky winner from Australia or New Zealand. Now, I said to John, what have we got? After showing everyone all this stuff, how about we give something back as well? So he's doing 2 kits. Now, one is the yellow kit, and in the foam, and also with a satchel that you put all of this into. So it's extremely neat, which tickled my fancy because I love neat. So I'll bring it up a bit closer. And that's about it there.
Does stand out very nicely.
So that is a great kit. Now he's going to do 2. John's gone crazy, and we're going to do international. So anyone around the world can jump into that competition. It's not this week's competition. It's going to be the following 2 weeks. So same kind of thing. When we get that competition up, I'll advise everyone. And one will be yellow and the other one will be blue. The first winner for the first week gets the choice. The second week, the winner is a boo-hoo. They get the leftover. So yellow being Yellow Box Shed and blue being Dave, Mr. Wiggle here. All right, John. Anything else you want to say about anything before we go? We did have the theodolite in here that we were talking about. Look, we'll just bring it over.
We'll just bring it quickly.
Bring it over.
Yeah, take
Now this thing is from John's father's history. Tell him a little bit about when surveying tunnels and about the cone.
Yeah, so my father was an engineering surveyor who's ended up specialising in tunnels, and very cramped quarters. I remember doing the Bondi Sewer Tunnel, and you put your hands out like that, and you were just off each side of the wall, 2.5 kilometres out to sea under the ocean bed. A little bit creepy for some people. So usually a theodolite's about this big, usually. And this is a brand that's not around anymore. It's called, it was bought out by Wild. It's called Kern. But this is a little one that's specialised for tunnelling. Accurate to 5 seconds of arc. We've figured out our...
Yeah, yesterday. So an arc is 1 minute is 3,000. Sorry, a degree is 3,600 seconds.
Yes. So this is accurate to 5 seconds of arc in both horizontal and vertical.
1 in 800 of a degree.
Yes.
Yep.
So very, very precise piece of machinery, which you needed for tunnelling, of course. But
And this was used in the Bondi outlet. Was this machine used for doing that at all?
This one had a brief use in there. Yeah. He ended up having to use the larger machine just because of the EDM, the electronic distance measurer that he had that would snap onto the front of it.
Right.
So ended up having to lug that in. We had to walk into that tunnel each time. The trains weren't operating when we were there, so the mining trains. So that was 3 sets of survey legs, theodolite, all the equipment we needed for the day. 2 kilometre walk out to sea under the ocean.
Under the ocean. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Now these outlets now are 2.5 kilometres or 3 kilometres out.
2.5, 3 kilometres. Yeah.
And you were telling me yesterday there's 14 different heads that
Yes.
release the processed sewage. Apparently,
process. All the filtrated. They take out all of the plastics and any of the non-biodegradable parts.
So for people that know Sydney, Bondi, was it North Head?
The north head of Bondi Beach.
North Head of Bondi Beach is hollow. Were you aware? And inside there is a massive filtration system, John was telling me, that strips the sewage of all of these impurities and then runs a processed mix through these tunnels and deposits 14 different heads. And the currents out there, the deep ocean currents, really take it away. I had heard stories of it coming back to the coast, but apparently John's telling me that it's not the situation. Yeah. So whether it's urban myth or true, I don't know. I'm only working on what John tells me, but he's an honest, trustworthy guy. So why shouldn't I?
It's the old story, and that's what the tunnel solved. Is most of the sewage from that area was pumped out at that same location, but closer to the shore. Right. And quite often Bondi Beach would get the wrong currents going, and you didn't want to swim there.
No,
so that doesn't happen anymore.
How big an area is that those tunnels serving? So what's the collection area?
I don't know, to be honest.
I'm just wondering if it's Greater Sydney, like whether the Blue Mountains up here would be.
No, this all the Blue Mountains actually goes inland.
Inland.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll eat it next crop of harvest.
They try. I think they try to. They do run it through the treatment plants and back into open areas. But yes.
All right. Okay, I'm going to grab this over here, and then I think we can say goodbye, John.
Yep.
So there we go. We've gone 10 minutes over, guys. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully the sound is doing great. Time does fly when you have fun. This is great. Wait for this competition. Well, you don't have to wait. You can enter them all. It doesn't matter. As I say, this week's is only for Australia and New Zealand. The week after is one of these party packs from John. What do you call it? There've been all sorts of suggestions up here.
There has been. We'll have to go through it.
Barry's Kennel Bench Dog Set.
Well, we'll talk about bench set, but this is a starter kit. I'm working on a couple of other kit ideas.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've got a firm case one open, but I'll put this one up for sale as well. So.
Right. And the dollars on this whole set? Ordinary if I were to buy the thing?
The set is $75 for just the plastic, or it's an extra $25 for the neoprene one. Or
and in the foam.
And comes with the foam.
Okay, so individually 35. Rattling around.
75.
75.
Yep.
As you see it there with that satchel, $100.
$100. $110 for a firm case one, I think.
Okay, so for the blown plastic ones.
Hilton Bond's got one of those. Still the same foam, just a harder case.
Brilliant. Yep. Okay, guys, thank you very much. John, thank you so much for coming and sharing the stuff with us.
Yep.
Next week, as I say, we'll have that other competition running for John. And I have no idea what I'm going to do next week. It has been suggested to me that I try and work out what the hell I'm going to do next week. But, life is busy. I will probably talk about some more festival stuff next week, which could be interesting. Anyway, some new information. All right, I'm going to hit the stop stream. And what we have to do is smile and look.